Hey guys, it's Madison Estes. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the most anticipated horror movies and shows that are coming out this year in 2023. These are the movies and shows that I'm most excited about. First up is Snow Falls. This film was scheduled to be released in October of 2019. I have no idea why it was delayed so long, and maybe they had to do reshoots or maybe something was going on with the distributor. I have no idea, but I'm really hyped that it's coming out this month. This movie is about 5 friends that are stranded in a remote cabin during a winter storm. They have no power, they have very little resources, and they are slowly losing their sanity as they believe that the snow might be contaminated or simply evil. That's right, simply evil is literally what the description says. So I'm super excited for this. I love the idea of sentient snow. Those of you that have been following this channel for a while, I accepted a story in Roadkill that's about sentient snow that's trying to murder a family. So I'm really excited by this concept. I kind of wonder if, the snow is going to be like a vessel for some outside force that's trying to kill them, or if, it's just going to be some kind of environmental contaminant that's trying to kill them. But either way, I'm really excited. I'm excited to see what effect the snow has on the people, if they just start murdering each other, or, if the snow itself starts making them sick, if this may be something similar to cabin fever. I don't know, but I'm really excited about it. And I'm also really excited that this film even exists because, like I said, it just kind of dropped off the map in 2019, and I wondered, what was going on. Maybe they didn't finish filming it, maybe they ran out of money, but I'm excited that it's out now, and I'm really looking forward to this film. Due to my busy schedule and some time management skills I really need to work on, by the time this film is out, Snow Falls should already be released. So if you've seen it, let me know what you thought of it in the comments section below, and if I've seen it, I'll let you know what I think of it in the description box. Deal? Deal. Next up is Fear. Fear has a very similar premise in that it's about a group of friends that go to a remote location, and there ends up being a contagious airborne threat that starts making them slowly lose their minds. Tagline for this movie is "Your mind is the trap," which definitely makes it sound like this virus is going to make people start losing their minds and probably killing themselves or each other. So I'm really excited by this premise. The trailer shows some really interesting things, like there's one character whose teeth are falling out, or they think their teeth are falling out, which is just something that really gets to me on a very visceral level. I actually don't recommend watching the trailer because, there's a lot of really good scenes in it, but I feel like it might be one of those things where the trailer shows too much, and, I just think that this is going to be a better experience if you go into it blind. Thankfully, it's been a while since I've seen the trailer, so I think I've forgotten most of it, so hopefully when I go into this movie, I won't remember anything. But yeah, definitely I would not watch the trailer before you watch this. Next up is probably my most anticipated horror film of the year, and that is Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin is being directed by M. Night Shyamalan. It is based on the novel by Paul Tremblay, The Cabin at the End of the World. I don't know why they decided to change that awesome title to Knock at the Cabin, but hopefully that is the only questionable change that they make. The story is about a couple and their daughter that go to a remote cabin, and as I'm saying this, I just realized that all 3 movies that I've mentioned so far are about a group of people going to a remote location and then something terrible happening to them. So I think the theme for 2023 is just stay home. Just stay home. Okay, so the couple and their daughter, they're at this remote location, and then a group of people break into their home and hit them with an ultimatum that something terrible is going to have to happen to one of them. So I don't want to go into any more details than that. I feel like the trailer did a really good job of staying somewhat mysterious and not giving too much away, so I don't want to give too much away. But it does seem like it's going to follow the book pretty closely. I don't know if they're going to keep the same ending or not, and personally I'm kind of torn on whether or not I think they should keep the same ending, but either way, I'm really looking forward to this film. It's got some great actors in it, and I think that it's probably going to be one of the best horror films this year. Next up is Beau is Afraid by Ari Aster. This film was originally called Disappointment Boulevard. I don't know why they decided to change the title, but it has me worried, quite honestly. So I was kind of joking whenever I heard the title that if that movie is bad, calling it Disappointment Boulevard is just giving the critics ammunition to tear it apart, because I can just see the headlines now. Disappointment Boulevard is as disappointing as its title. It would just be so easy to make fun of the film with the title like that. So part of me kind of wonders if that's why they changed it. I don't know, maybe Disappointment Boulevard was always just the working title and they were always going to try to change it to something better, but I just feel like they sure did make it a long time with that title to suddenly change it, and that combined with the fact that they've been kind of vague about the plot description, I'm just a little worried. The plot description says that this is a surrealist horror comedy about an anxious man named Beau who has a fraught relationship with his mother. When she passes away, the journey home is filled with wild supernatural threats. And I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say some of those supernatural threats are probably going to be psychological, and they're going to directly tie into his emotional journey towards forgiving his mother for whatever relationship issues they had and moving closer towards accepting her death. This film stars Joaquin Phoenix, which to me is a good enough reason to see it, and it's also Ari Aster's third film. He's the guy that made Hereditary and Midsommar, so I'm really looking forward to this, and I hope that it's as good as his other films. Next up is Insidious 5, which is supposed to be coming out in July of this year, although these days release dates are more like release estimates. Insidious 5 was originally called Insidious Fear the Dark, but they dropped Fear the Dark, and I think that that was a really good call. I hope they don't change their minds and bring it back at the last minute. Just Insidious 5, I think that that's good. The description for Insidious 5 simply reads, "The Lamberts 10 years after the last installment as Dalton begins college." That's right. It's, yeah, as he begins college. Oh god, that makes me feel so old. Does that make you feel old? It definitely makes me feel old. I think that's the scary part of this movie, is you realize how much time has passed since the first one and you feel old, and then that's where the horror begins. It's very meta. Next up is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. The plot synopsis is strange events befall the crew of the merchant ship the Demeter as they are stalked by a dark presence. I really love that plot synopsis. It gives you just enough information to know, okay, we're on a ship, this takes place in the past, and there's going to be something supernatural going on. To me, that's really all I need to know to get invested in a film. And honestly, I wish I hadn't accidentally read the things I have read about this film. Just like almost on the IMDb page, it pretty much just tells you possibly what this film's going to be about, unless they're like subverting expectations, but I don't think they are. Basically, this is adapted from a written story that if I tell you even the name of it, you're going to know what this film is probably about. So I'm not going to do that to you. Just trust me. Don't read anything about this. Just go into it. I really think this is probably going to be one of the best films of the year. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I think this is going to be really good, and I think that you will do yourself a disservice if you do any research on this. Just go in blind. Next up is The Boogeyman by Rob Savage. This is based off of a short story by Stephen King. For those of you that don't know, the short story is about a man that goes to see a psychiatrist, and he confesses that he thinks that there's a monster that's been haunting him and his family. I don't think they're going to follow the short story that closely. For one thing, it would be really difficult since pretty much the whole story takes place in one therapy session, but it looks to me as if they might even be changing the POV characters from the father to the children. The plot synopsis says, a teenage girl and her little sister are plagued by a dark presence, and they struggle to get their grieving father to pay attention before it's too late. So yeah, it definitely seems like there might be a POV shift from the father to the kids, which could be very interesting, or it could end up making this just be like a generic horror film that doesn't seem to have any attachment to the short story. I sound so excited, don't I? No, I really am excited to see what they do with this adaptation. So far, I've enjoyed almost every film that's based on a Stephen King short story. I loved 1408, Children of the Corn is a classic. I really enjoyed Riding the Bullet. I really struggle to think of any films that are based on his short stories that haven't been at least okay. So if you can think of one, let me know in the comment section below. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this and seeing how they interpreted this short story and expand it into a full movie. Next up is Maxine, which is the third installment in Ty West's series, which began with X and continued with the prequel Pearl. This film follows the character Maxine as she continues her journey to become a famous actress in the 80s in LA. So far, plot details are sparse, and I kind of like it that way. These days, I kind of like going into films only knowing a little bit about them, or maybe not even watching the trailers, because I feel like a lot of times they just give too much away. So I really kind of want to go into this just based on the fact that I really enjoyed the character Maxine. I remember after I saw X, I wanted there to be a sequel, and I was actually kind of disappointed that Pearl was a prequel, because I was like, I kind of already gonna know what happens in Pearl. Like, I really want, you know, a film where I don't know what's gonna happen next. And I really enjoyed Maxine's character, so I'm really looking forward to this a lot. This is exactly what I wanted as soon as I finished watching X. I immediately wanted this film, and I'm super excited that we're getting it this year. Next up is Salem's Lot by Gary Dauberman. I hope that's how you say his name. This movie is about a writer that returns to his hometown and discovers that the residents are being turned into vampires. So the storyline has been done a couple times before. Am I still really excited to see this? Absolutely. Unlike films like Carrie and Pet Sematary, which I feel are true classics and are kind of untouchable in some ways, I don't feel like Salem's Lot is as good, and I feel like there is room for improvement, or at least for reinterpretation. So I'm really looking forward to this film, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. So the last film I'm going to talk about before I get into horror shows is a film that I'm cautiously optimistic that I will enjoy, and that film is Saw X. I had serious problems with Jigsaw, I had serious problems with Spiral. I didn't enjoy either of them, and a lot of times I like to just pretend that the series ended at Saw 3D. Or even Saw 6, honestly, which would have probably been the highest note to end on, as if, you know, it had just ended there. But anyways, Saw 3D was okay in retrospect. It was a lot better than the last two. So what makes me think that this one might be enjoyable? Well, Kevin Grutert is coming back. I'm really excited about that. And so is Tobin Bell. So that's what I've got. That's what's giving me hope. That's about it. That and the fact that they're actually calling it Saw again, which I really like. You know, Spiral was dumb, Jigsaw was okay, but just stick with Saw in the title. Maybe that will break the curse. We'll see. Now I want to talk about a few horror shows that I'm really looking forward to this year. The first of which is The Last of Us. The story takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where there are some humans who have been infected by a parasitic fungal infection that essentially turns them into zombies. There's a teenage girl named Ellie who is immune and may be the key to creating a vaccine, so Joel is trying to sneak her out of the quarantine zone and across the country so that they can get a vaccine. It sounds a lot like Z Nation, except it seems as though it's going to be a major tone shift. Z Nation was bonkers. Like, it was a very comedy-centric show. It had serious moments and sad moments, but it was very lighthearted, and this seems like it's a very serious take on the premise of trying to help someone get across the country so they can create a vaccine. In my mind, I'm just calling this Z Nation minus the comedy, and there's a lot of hype around this show, and I really hope it lives up to the hype. Next up is The Fall of the House of Usher by Mike Flanagan. This show is based off of the Edgar Allan Poe short story of the same name, and it's going to feature a lot of Flanagan's usual actors, including Zach Gilford, Kate Siegel, Henry Thomas, and Raul Coley. And it's also going to be featuring newcomer to the Flanagan universe, Mark Hamill, which I'm really excited about. I don't know if this miniseries is considered an installment in the Haunting franchise that began with The Haunting of Hill House. So far, it looks like it's only The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor. However, it seems as though the story is going to revolve around family, it's going to take place in a mansion, and I'm pretty sure it's going to have ghosts in it, so I feel like spiritually it's going to feel like an installment in the Haunting series, even if it's not officially considered an installment, so we'll see. Either way, really looking forward to this. The last show I'm really looking forward to this year is Crystal Lake. This shirt was a dead giveaway, wasn't it? The show is being created by Brian Fuller, who did the Hannibal series, which I love, so I'm really looking forward to this, even though it does seem as though there are some legal issues going on at the moment. Hopefully these legal issues won't postpone the release date or cause any major problems, although it does seem as if someone else owns the rights to Jason's look, like with the hockey mask, which is possibly problematic because I'm imagining they're probably going to want to bring actual Jason Voorhees into the show at some point. But hopefully that'll, you know, get settled. Hopefully everyone that needs to get paid off will get paid off and everyone will be happy and they'll be able to do this show justice. But I feel like even with certain limitations, Brian Fuller's pretty good at working around them. He did so with the Hannibal show, where there was also some legal issues as to certain characters they couldn't mention or couldn't bring up because other things were going on. Stupid legal issues that just do nothing but harm the integrity of the work, in my opinion. But I know he's already done this legal hurdles before with the Hannibal series, and I have faith that no matter what legal hurdles they put in his way, he's gonna somehow manage to make a good show. Also, fun fact, there's a movie coming out this year called Crystal Lake that has nothing to do with the show or the Friday the 13th series. So yeah, just so you know, if you're like me and you hear anything about Crystal Lake the movie, just don't get too excited. So that's it. That's all of the horror movies and shows that I'm looking forward to this year. That's pretty much all the shows and movies I'm looking forward to this year in general, except for You, Season 4, the first part anyways, which is coming out in February. You isn't quite horror, but I feel like it's close enough that I can still mention it at the end of this video. I'm really looking forward to it. I love the fact that Joe is going to be the one that's stalked this season. I think that's a really neat twist. I love how this show continues to reinvent itself every season, so I really hope that they do a good job this season. Can't wait for that. I want to know, what are you guys looking forward to? Shows or movies? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. On this channel, I post reviews, writing advice, horror commentary, and vlogs. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later.